What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and I got to tell you something. The ENIC PR is in overdrive today. We've had interviews from Vinay Venkatesham with Sammy Mokbel on the BBC. We've had a statement from the Lewis family. We had the Charrington statement as well. There is one particular person that's been missed out, that hasn't been given any words to say, or hasn't come out and said his twopence on, or maybe one pence on what...
Tuppence, I think it is.
It's worse than tuppence. On the situation at Spurs. Is that telling? It very might well be. But we're going to get into all of it.
Something tells me maybe season ticket renewals aren't as high as they had hoped.
Yeah, maybe.
Something tells me.
I think a lot of people are just waiting till the bitter end, right until that end, to renew their season ticket. But we're going to get into it all. There's also been a massive internal review at Tottenham Hotspur as well, which we'll get into. But first and foremost, let's get into this update and let's start off talking about this internal review. Alistair Gold has told us that Spurs have launched an internal review into their wretched season, which includes a psychologist that's going to join to banish the Spursy thinking, ending the horrendous injury record, and an investigation into the pitch as well. So we'll get into each one specifically, but I found it funny, a psychologist joining to banish the Spursy thinking. I mean,
if you need to, first of all, I remember, wasn't that supposed to be banished last year when we actually won a trophy? You know what I mean? That was supposed to be a big thing, like a big weight off our shoulders. I'm not saying we haven't been Spursy. This season, it's a weird one. It's not... Spursy is... What I classify as Spursy is when grabbing defeat from the jaws of victory. That is Spurs. When you're in the ascendancy, you've got, you're 2-0 up and you end up losing 3-2 in the last minute, or you've got an open goal and you miss it and then you concede at the other end. That's like Spursiness to me. Like, this season hasn't been Spursy. It's been just utter dire. It's been shite. You know what I mean?
In a sense, though, because we've won that European trophy and we're going into this season full of hope, full of kind of, Spurs can actually do something this season. We're all predicting 4th, 5th, all this kind of stuff, and we have a relegation battle.
Yeah, but that's not Spursiness. That's the club running badly. Spursiness is...
having all the hope and falling flat on your face.
No, Spursiness is being 4th on the final day and losing, you know what I mean, and dropping out. That's Spursy. Like, this season, nearly being relegated, that's not Spursy. That's just a really badly run club making really bad decisions. And I think putting it on, some sort of mythical mentality as to why we're in this position. For example, how many games this season did we deserve to win and just and failed and fall flat on our faces and not? For me, Spursiness is like when you have everything in your power to win, but there's something stopping you. That's Spursy. That's not what's been this season.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's individual game Spursiness, but the whole situation has definitely been Spursy with the hope everyone had going into the season. Even from the, I guess what was Spursy was the Super Cup. That was definitely very Spursy.
That was Spursy, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, from the intentions going into the season and what we got at the end of it.
Yeah, but they're talking about bringing a psychologist to help with these players to banish Spurs. I'm assuming it's the players. I don't think it's with everyone else to banish Spursy, right? And my point is, I don't think it's this kind of problem with Spursy with the players this season. That hasn't been the issue for me. I don't think we lost all those games because of Spursiness. We lost it because of shit coaching, shit decisions from the hierarchy. It wasn't that we had everything set up to win games and we just Spursed it up. That wasn't what the case was this season. I think there's a lot of seasons, right, where we've been in really promising positions and we've been playing really well, but when it comes to the end, we just don't get over the line for some reason. We get to a semi-final and we lose. We got to Champions League final and we lose. All those kind of things. That, for me, that's like a psychological issue with Spursiness, because the club had all the players that it needed, Harry Kane, Son, whatever, and we just couldn't get over the line. Then I think when it comes to that Spursiness, you maybe need a psychologist. I'm not saying we don't need a psychologist, by the way. I'm just saying to banish Spursy at this point, I think, is identifying the wrong problem, is my point.
I think that's your definition of Spursy. Obviously, everyone has their own definition of it because it's not an actual thing. I think what it's been...
Which is a problem in itself, I would say.
Yeah. I think what it is now, what most people kind of think what Spursy is just being shit. I think that's what people think about it. And we've been too accustomed to losing, even from last season. I know we won the Europa League, but we lost way too many games last season. We lost way too many games this season. Did we get more points this season than we did last season in the Premier League? Which is crazy. It's nuts. So I think a psychologist needs to come in just to get them out of that kind of mode. We've just been way too used to losing.
I agree with that. I'm not saying we don't need a psychologist. I'm just saying I think the narrative that they're coming in to banish Spursy, I think kind of lets a lot of people off the hook. You know what I mean, of why we're actually in this situation. And it's like, it's implying it's just a psychological barrier of Tottenham's fear of failure, which is why we're in the position of really getting relegated. But I don't think that's the case. That's kind of what I read into that when they say, oh, it's to banish this Spursy mythical thing, which I agree has been a problem. And there's probably psychological damage done to a lot of these players over these last 2 years with the amount of criticism they faced and the amount of losses we've faced. But I just don't like the way they've put it, oh, it's to banish Spursy, because they've implying we've had things in a place to win and we just haven't got over the line through our own psychological problems. And that's not, I don't like that narrative for for me anyway.
Fair enough, but maybe the Super Cup, maybe they're just thinking about Super Cup.
I doubt it.
So Dan Lewington, former England physio, who joined Spurs from the City Group in February, is the man tasked with an overhaul of the Tottenham deal with their injuries and their player performance. De Zerbi is believed to have already struck up a good relationship with Lewington, with the pair known to regularly chat about the improvements that need to be made for the club's performance and medical department to bring them in line with the world's top clubs. So Dan Lewington, I think, worked with England Rugby. He worked with the City Group, obviously doing great jobs there. But I mean, again, I don't even know what to make out of something like that. It's just the proof will be in the pudding. There's nothing really much to say about it.
I don't know why they're not in line with the world's top clubs 6 years after this stadium's been opened. 7 years now, isn't it?
Well, we know exactly why.
I'm just saying, well...
We know exactly why.
We don't know why. We know who's responsible. We don't know why.
We know exactly why, because football has not been at the forefront of this football club. That's why. Because they don't invest in those kind of infrastructures of the footballing matters. They've been investing in other infrastructures around outside of football. That's why. This is exactly why.
Well, this should have been done a long time ago. This should have been done before we got into this stadium.
Of course.
This should have been done. We should always be in line with the world's top clubs that's where you're aiming to be. So the fact that we're not, or they're implying that we're not, is ridiculous, and it's a joke. It's a joke that we're not already at that stage. Why does it take two massive injury crises to be at that stage? We shouldn't need to take that. We should already want the best in class when it comes to the medical team.
Of course.
Yeah, but I'm sure when they hire people, they don't just not interview them. I'm sure they've gone for good people. You know what I mean? When it comes to the medical team,
best
so I don't
in class?
understand. I don't know. I'm not in the interview room. Look, are we thinking? Are they trying to cut costs with the medical team, or are they just hiring the best people they interview? I would like to think they do, but we don't know for sure. Maybe there's something wrong with their process, like with the manager process. Maybe that's the problem.
Regarding the medical team, there is also an acknowledgement within Tottenham that a high turnover in managers has contributed to injuries. The main reason being frequently changing training sessions, head coaches pushing players harder, and players pushing themselves beyond to impress the new manager. Tottenham are looking to improve the trust that the players have with the medical department at the club. This comes after some had chosen to put their faith in staff from their previous clubs or their national team. And we've seen that firsthand, haven't we?
Seen that with a few players, most notably, obviously, Rukuti, who's done that with Argentina. I think Charleston's done that. There's probably a number of other examples. I'm guessing Kudus as well.
Kudus went back to Ajax, didn't he?
So, yeah, I think he's another one who's probably done that at the moment. So there is a clear distrust. We've heard it from other sources that no one in the playing staff really likes the medical team in terms of trust them to be competent and deal with their injuries, and they always want outside sources, and it's ridiculous it's come to that. I understand it's not like that uncommon in other clubs to receive external help, But the reason why clubs are against it is because if anything goes wrong, the clubs can be held responsible at the end of the day for either allowing it to happen or, you know, going to be missing their player if something goes bad from an external. So if they're going to be responsible, they want to deal with it. But at the end of the day, our medical staff are failing badly on a number of occasions. Players getting re-injured and all this kind of stuff. When it comes to that, what they're saying about the high turnover of managers, I'm sure that has an effect, to be honest. I'm not surprised because...
And probably the high turnover of medical staff as well.
Yeah, all of that stuff has an effect. No continuity, which is why I was, you know, so desperate to have some continuity at some point, which, again, we haven't... And it's got even worse ever since last year. So let's hope De Zerbi's the guy, and let's hope we have just someone in place for a good few years so we can stabilise as a football club, and then all the players we come in, get used to these training methods, and you know, their bodies aren't being put through different kind of things that can maybe open them up to potential injuries. So I think the 100% that could be a massive factor.
Yeah, Alistair Gold's also claiming that Xavi Simons' ACL injury was actually dealt with correctly by the Tottenham physios. The player was keen to continue but unable to do so, and the right precautionary steps were believed to have been taken with no additional damage done. Apparently, Xavi Simons has since apologised to the medical team with the way he was being with them on the sidelines, and he was like basically not taking no for an answer, and he just wanted to get back on that pitch.
Yeah, which is, considering the position we were in at the time, I can kind of understand Xavi, and it's not the first time we've seen that from a player.
But we all criticise the medical team over the handling of that situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not medical experts, but making someone who has a suspected ACL jump up and down and run up and down the touchlines doesn't seem clever. But maybe I mean, we did hear how Dr. Andre say someone on ACL can still walk. It's not like it's obviously a bad injury, but it's not one where you need a stretcher per se. You know, you can actually walk on it, and it's about certain movements that you can't do. So maybe those are the right kind of tests you do for an ACL. So maybe we're too harsh at the time. It's possible. Obviously, the club are going to try and say that, aren't they? They don't want to have any culpability. They don't want to open themselves up to anything. Potentially, maybe if Xavi hears they dealt with it wrong, maybe they open them up to a lawsuit or something. So they've obviously probably going to say that either way, but maybe it's correct. Maybe there was nothing wrong with the test they did.
On the pitch, everyone's been kind of saying, well, look at these ACL injuries. Real Madrid have got a similar amount. Is it down to the pitch? And external independent tests on each match day have already been conducted on the pitch at Tottenham Hotspur. These are understood to have shown no difference to the bounce and the spring of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium pitch compared to Hotspur Way. A deeper, detailed analysis is set to take place over time to ensure a deeper review, and they've also been comparing the surfaces at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and also at Hotspur Way to see if there's any differences in that aspect as well.
And I don't know what really to say about it until there's any conclusive stuff from the further deep investigation. But similar to what I said about Xavi, I think there is definitely an interest in Tottenham for them to say there's nothing wrong with the pitch, because they don't want to be held responsible for what's happened this season with how they've dealt with how they've developed this pitch, how they've created it, spent millions and hundreds of millions of pounds with it, the retractable nature of it, and then if it comes up that there's something seriously wrong, they're going to have to change all of it, that can create serious problems for them, and again with potential either lawsuits and as well more money to completely change what the pitch is doing. So there is a bit of an interest for them to come up with some review that says it's not the problem, but then again it's also within their interest to find the problem, because they're losing these players every single year for over a year at this point, and the amount of ACLs is ridiculous, so that can't continue. So I'd like to think they're being honest about it, but you never know with these kind of reviews when they're done. I know they're saying it's done for a third party, but it's still a review that they've kind of organised, and maybe they're just trying to cover their own arse, but we'll see.
SZY says it is serious this time around. De Zerbi demanded a full review into the club's recurring injury issues during negotiations when joining. It was one of the several assurances discussed before everything was finalised. De Zerbi's coming to save us, people. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Delighted, because there needs to be a full review. There needs to be every single every carpet needs to be pulled up and seen what's been brushed under the carpet. That everything needs to be under the microscope right now, because there's been so many failures at this football club from every department that I think everything needs to be looked at. You can't have any stone left unturned. So I'm delighted De Zerbi's looking at the situation, thinking, if I'm for next season, you know, we need everything looked at, everything, and it looks like it's underway.
In terms of transfers, let's get into Savinho. Graham Bailey says that Man City have informed Savinho that he can leave the club this summer. Savinho's agent also has liked Fabrizio Romano's post, linking him with the Tottenham move as well. So not sure what to make out of that. If there is anything to make out of it, I don't know. But we know that Spurs... Well, Fabrizio Romano has claimed that Spurs are going back in for Savinho, have rekindled their interest, and talks have begun. Do you feel like this one is actually going to happen this summer?
Yeah, it's definitely hotting up, isn't it? This Savinho deal again. I definitely think it's a lot more likely this summer. Last summer, I never really believed it was ever going to happen. But this summer, considering that he stayed and then he didn't get the game time maybe he wanted, and he ended up missing out the World Cup, which was his ultimate fear of what would happen if he stayed. I think when you look at that situation, the fact that Doku's developed amazingly this season, they've signed Savinho on top of that. Obviously, they've got other players who can play in those positions. I think Savinho's probably looking at the situation thinking, if I'm really going to develop to my full potential, I need to be going somewhere where I'm playing week in, week out, where they believe in me. And Man City, is he ever going to be more than a fringe player right now? And that's the fear for him. So I think it could happen. I think the price would have dropped. The only fear for me is, obviously, he's quite open to us coming to Spurs, but I would be shocked if there's not a little bit of interest elsewhere from other clubs, maybe in Europe or not, that might be looking at him. But if we can steal ahead of the...
What kind of clubs do you reckon be interested in?
I'm not sure, but I would be surprised if, you know, maybe a Liverpool. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not. Why not? They need a winger.
They need a top winger.
No, but they need more. They need like 3 wingers.
They're not going to bring in a Savinho.
Why not?
Because he's shown he's not at that level yet, and they want players that can get them to the title.
I think he could easily be someone they target. Maybe one of the teams, I don't know, Villa or Newcastle, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Newcastle have been accredited with interest.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if one of these other clubs... Look, Liverpool, Salah's gone, right? Diaz went last season. Who are their wingers? Rio, Gakpo, and that's it.
Yeah, they need to bring in players.
So they need like 3 or 4. So why can't Savinho be one of those? I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think so.
I wouldn't be shocked at all if Liverpool look at him. I think he's such a Liverpool kind of player as well. So I think hopefully we steal ahead of the March, and if there is a March, and ahead of the competition and get him in early, because I think he'd be a really good signing for us. But yeah, I think it's a lot more likely to happen this summer than it was last summer, especially with Pep gone as well.
SZY also claiming that he understands nothing is decided yet regarding Luka Vuckovic's future, despite the reports. Many clubs are interested in taking him on loan if he is made available. However, no decision has been made as of yet. Obviously, they need to work out what's going on with Cuti Romero yet. There's no concrete information what's happening with him. So, yeah, I guess that just makes sense, doesn't it? Nothing's going to be decided probably until De Zerbi gets him back for pre-season.
Yeah, and that's the right course of action. You can't decide anything without De Zerbi's final say, and he hasn't seen him firsthand, and that would only happen in pre-season. Same thing happened last season. Nothing was decided until we saw Frank saw Vuckovic firsthand, and then he obviously decided to let him on.
When he saw him smash at him pre-season, and then he was like, off you go, mate.
So, obviously, even if he sees him firsthand, there'll have to be discussion what he wants personally, what we could potentially do in the market if he does go on loan. So all those things obviously play into it. But yeah, I don't think he'll play a few games in pre-season. I'm pretty certain of that.
Yeah. There's one that's just been brought to my attention as well from SZY and Spurs journos, saying that Spurs will resume talks to extend Mickey van der Ven and Pedro Porro's contract this summer, and both are understood to be keen on extending their contracts and are viewed as very key figures under Roberto De Zerbi and moving forward with this squad. So that is music to my ears. So I think both these players you saw a massive change in once De Zerbi came in. I don't think Porro was having a good season at all up until De Zerbi's come in, and he's ended the season really well. Mickey van der Ven was having a good season, then went completely off the boil, and then you saw a clear change in mentality when he came back in. So when De Zerbi came, so yeah, I'm delighted for that.
Yeah, I think both of these players have very unique kind of assets, which I think De Zerbi really needs or would really appreciate for what he's trying to do at Tottenham. So I think these are two absolutely key players. I think if you look at the back line, they're probably our two most important players for De Zerbi, in my opinion, with Porro's ability and build up and his just quality on the ball, and then Van der Ven's at that obviously unbelievable pace in behind as well, covering pace, and obviously he's growing that ability to defend all the time. So I think especially Van der Ven, obviously that's unbelievable news. Porro, I never really expected him to leave. I'm sure if he was going to leave, there would be some interest, but I think he's pretty happy here. I don't see him going anywhere. So I was pretty confident he was going to stay. But yeah, Van der Ven, obviously there seems to be a switch, but with all the noise, you can never be too sure until you hear the news for sure that he's definitely staying, especially with what was going on last season. So to hear that the rumours now that he's going to sign a new contract, that would be a massive coup.
You know what? With Pedro Porro, I wasn't confident he was going to say pre De Zerbi. He was complaining about the fans and all this kind of stuff. He didn't look happy whatsoever. I think if De Zerbi didn't come in, I think Porro would have looked to leave in the summer. On Sebastian Kell, SZY saying that Spurs aren't settled on him yet. Dougie Freeman is still in the background. However, he doesn't want to work with Johan Langer.
Bring him in. Get him in.
And SZY also did respond to a post about Johan Langer leaving, and he said TikTok. Let's hope. I think that would be my ideal scenario, Johan Langer to leave and Dougie Freeman to come in. I think Dougie Freeman did such a good job at Crystal Palace, and I think he can do such a good job here as well.
Yeah, it's hard to know really when it comes to sporting directors. It's not like, in some ways it is like a footballer. Just because they work in one system doesn't mean they work in another. So in some ways it is like that. But I think football, being a sporting director is even more harder to know exactly if they're going to work at one club.
But he's clearly got a big eye for talent, doesn't he?
Yeah, Langer had an eye for talent at Villa. Some of the players that he signed are still playing for them. So I know they did badly as a club, but the talent did all right. But to be fair, Dougie Freeman was a bit different. I'm just saying it's hard to know. But for sure, I'm willing to go in a different direction, of course. I want Lang out. I don't know about this Kell geezer, but he comes in as an instant hero if he chucks Lang out the door immediately.
So who did Langer sign for Villa that's still there and doing well?
I think McGinn. I think I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was quite a few players that he signed, and they're still. I think Watkins, I think he signed him as well. So there's quite a few players that were all right that he signed, but they did horribly, Villa, under him. So maybe whatever reason that happened, but when it comes to Sebastian Kell, from what I've seen, I'd much rather Freeman from what I've researched. In terms of the business they've done and what they've done for their respective clubs, Freeman seems a better pick to me. But it's hard to know. It's hard to know, really, when it comes to Tottenham, whether they'll be the best fit.
Yeah, I just think you're looking at the kind of talent he brought in at Crystal Palace. You're looking at Michael Elise, and look at what he's doing now. You look at Eberechi Eze. Obviously, we know he's just won the league. He's got a real eye for talent, and he's got such a knowledge of the game, not just in England, but in Europe as well. So he kind of seems to find these kind of gems that will go on and get to be really good and have a high value. So I think that's what Spurs need to be looking at. We finished 2 17th places in a row. We're not exactly going to be able to bring in the best and most kind of common talent in the world. So we need to find these kind of gems.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that.
And I think Dougie Freeman, out of the sporting directors that have been spoken about, is the one that has shown the proof in the pudding more than anyone else. Last but not least, we've got these quotes from Son Heung-min, our Oh man, I miss Sonny, man, and when you hear these quotes as well, it just hits home even more. And he says, talking on the Everton game, he says, watching the game, I was just so anxious and nervous, as if I was playing out there on the pitch myself. Whenever Everton got the ball, I would start shaking. It's a team I have a lot of affection for. It was emotionally difficult watching Spurs throughout this season. I often found myself wondering if I'd left the team too early. I hope they can deliver a much better and more comfortable season for the fans next year. They're still close friends of mine, and I still keep in touch with them regularly. Even now, when things get difficult, some of the players still call me and ask, "What should I do?" By the time training finishes and I get home, it's usually evening over in England, so we get time to talk then. Thanks to them, I was able to experience winning the Europa League last year. They're my friends who gave me a lot of great memories, so I was really happy with this result. I mean, you did leave too early, Sonny. You most definitely, we needed you this season, man. We needed Sonny desperately. Just that leadership ability more than anything else.
Well, the fact they bloody call him after every game, it seems, to say, like, well, what can we do? What's going wrong? Clearly shows that they haven't left him behind, because they're still looking for him to lead.
Why aren't they going to their actual captain for that?
Well, I'm sure they are as well, but Sonny is like that extra bit, isn't he? He's still their leader, isn't he? He's still so fresh, because he only just left, and they know that Son probably has a open door policy, or should I say open phone policy.
Because they know Sonny would never drop any sort of standards. That's why they go to Sonny and not Romero, I'll tell you that.
I mean, I don't know if they don't talk to Romero. I mean, you're assuming that, but I know they do talk to Son. And because Son was such a great leader, and it was not just that, he was a really great friend with them. So they know that Son like really cares and will want to try and fix these problems together, 100%. And it's a shame that it ended when it did, and 100% we could have done with him in that dressing room this year, 100%. Even if he wasn't playing every game, we could have done with him in and around the dressing room.
Yeah.
And I think it really hurt us, him not being there. And I think he felt that. That's why he's saying, maybe I should leave these guys in the lurch a bit. Maybe I did.
One more year. We needed one more year from Sonny. That's what I believe.
But it's done now.
It's done now. We survived. We got through, which is hopefully the worst. But I can't wait for the World Cup to see him back in action for Korea. And let's hope he smashes it. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have spoken about today. Now, we're going to get into some more ENIC PR. We're going to get into the ENIC interview with Sammy Mockbell. I mean, it's a whole 50-minute interview, so we can't go through every single word that was said, but we'll go through specific quotes. He was talking about the last day of the season. He says, and the fans and everything, and he says, I think it was just a huge outpouring of relief, but obviously a feeling of relief at the end of the season is nowhere near the standard of this football club. I mean, you don't need to say that, ENIC. I think we all know that. Then he was talking, he says, if you'd asked me a few months before I joined, when I was no longer an outsider, I would have told you the club was in a significantly worse state in some places than I thought. That is absolutely not meant to be a criticism of anyone or anything. It was just what I found. It was very clear that this wasn't some sort of turnaround that was required of a club quite a few areas. It was a complete reset. If I had to generalise, I would say that on the non-football side of the club, in particular around the stadium operations and commercial, that the club was and is really strong. I think if you look at the football side of the club, over a time frame of 5 years or so, there's been an explosion in progress across the Premier League. I'm not saying that Tottenham didn't improve in that period, but what I can tell you is that when you look at where Tottenham were in many of those areas compared to where I believe other Premier League clubs are, there was a significant gap. In some areas, really quite worryingly so. I don't think that there was what I would call a relentless obsession with football success. Our training centre is amazing, one of the best, if not the best in the world. But when you look around, it looks more like a 5-star hotel than it does a performance environment. That will change over the summer. I think there are many areas where the club hasn't got the right level of expertise. I love it how he goes, this is no way a criticism of previous ownership, and then just starts to bash everything that the previous ownership has done.
Really in a mess, like, awful. Like, this needs a we need to completely do away with what they did, but not criticising, but just we need to completely do away with them. Brilliant stuff. In terms of those areas, I would love if he went into more detail. Is it the scouting? Is it the analysis? Is it the data? Is it the medical team? Obviously, it could be all of it. But what he said, he went quite specific. Well, he didn't specific, but he said there are areas we're behind, and then he said some areas where we're worrying. The gap is worrying. So I really wonder. I wonder if that's like recruitment, probably, and maybe it's maybe analysis. I don't know. It's hard to know exactly what he means, but obviously, if I'm looking at it, I think definitely recruitment would definitely be the area you would think there's a big gap. I think he's absolutely spot on. I think there was a time where Tottenham were ahead of the curve, I think, in the Premier League, and there was a time we were doing things probably better than most, not all clubs, but most clubs in the Premier League. We would be operating, even from a footballing point of view, to a higher standard.
Probably for a very short amount of time.
Well, I think for, considering how much money we were spending, I think for a fair amount of time, I would say up until pretty much we moved into the stadium, maybe, or no, I would say up until probably the final year of the White Hart Lane, maybe. I would say up until then, I would say under ENIC, we were probably, I'm not saying all clubs, I'm not saying like the top clubs, I'm just saying majority of clubs in the Premier League, we were probably operating at a better functionality from a footballing point of view in terms of our processes and them. But the problem is we never moved on, we never advanced, we never developed, and then you've got then clubs in this day and age in 2026, they're getting so much smarter and so much more efficient and so much they're getting so much more bang for their buck in terms of their recruitment as well. And we just got left behind. All these clubs, like the middle of the range clubs, Brentford, Brighton, Bournemouth, Fulham, all these clubs are outdoing us at the moment. We're 17th at the moment. All the clubs above us are outdoing us. And that's because we had a good thing going, we rested on our laurels and we didn't actually progress our methods, and we're stuck in like 2012 or whatever it is, when we were 2015, when we were doing all right back then. But now football's moved on so quickly. Football moves on at such a lightning quick pace, where we're still like going for managers at the time like Mourinho and stuff, who were just well past it. Managers, clubs these days are moving very quickly. Bournemouth are getting Iraola, and Brighton are getting Hertzler and other managers. De Zerbi, they were at the forefront of getting managers like that, who they could see where football was going and they could get ahead of the game, whereas we're still stuck in very old way of with older managers and older methods, and we were stuck in certain
trying
processes.
to put plasters on gaping wounds that can't be filled. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
I don't think it's plasters on gaping wounds. I think it's more.
Well, those manager situations were.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I think it's more they thought their processes were better than they were. So they thought, okay, we bring Mourinho and get him into our kind of process, and it'll be fine, and hoping that Mourinho would bring us up with his great managerial ability. But obviously, he was past it, and our process is outdated. You mix that together, right? It's a recipe for disaster. Then we moved on to a lot of other coaches, but the big problem was us. The big problem was Tottenham and the way we run the club, the way we run the footballing side of things. And it's outdated. It's completely obsolete this way, and it's been proven now because look at where we are. The way we run the footballing side of things is completely outdated. We need to modernise in many aspects, and all these clubs have done that. All the top clubs are the best in class with that. They've modernised with incredible investment. All the other clubs like Brighton and Brentford, they've just modernised, and they maybe don't have the investment to compete with the top clubs, but they've modernised their footballing processes. And then there's us and West Ham as well. There's a reason why West Ham are down there, is because they also are stuck in old processes, and they also haven't modernised. And so they're also down there. And so that's why we're the two clubs down the bottom.
Arsenal is the real proof in the pudding, Arsenal fans hated their owners, the Cronkies, the massive protests against the Cronkies. And as soon as, they had that massive review, A lot of sackings happened at boardroom level and in and around the club. They changed everything about scouting, about conditioning, about medical. Literally everything at that football club changed. With Mikel Arteta, Josh Kroenke came and took over from Stan Kroenke, and this one left and that one left. And you can see they modernised their approach and they got significantly better over a space of time.
The problem is, this isn't the first time we've heard this from our ownership. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, we heard Spurs are now going in a data-led approach. They're going to modernise this and that. And that turned out to be that will go worse after that, unless if we're being honest. The problem is you need to know how to modernise. You need to know what to do, what operations to put in. You need the expertise. That's why he's saying, Vinay, I think in a lot of the departments we don't have the right experts who are at the forefront. It's not even about quality. It's about, I mean, obviously it is about quality, but it's about being at the forefront of football, knowing the trends, knowing kind of where football is, what direction football is heading. Arsenal, I mean, and Arteta, he's been at the forefront of it, where, I think every league winner in the top 5 leagues have scored the most from set pieces. And he knew, and clearly he's been at the forefront of that. And that, he's adapted to what football has become each season. Pep was obviously brilliant at that. But we need people who are aware of these things. And we thought Frank was the guy, but that was a horrendous appointment. We don't know what direction to go in. And hopefully we've got it right this time. But I don't know if these guys know how to modernise. That's the problem. We need the right experts.
Absolutely. Then he says, I understand the frustration around supporters. I think Tottenham supporters have been frustrated for some time. This is 2 17th place finishes in a row. It's clearly not good enough. I think that the rationale, normal, sensible, and is what we would expect from supporters. The club had serious challenges that it needs to address on the football side. We know what those are. We are addressing them. We are fixing them. Those challenges are not disappearing overnight. They build up over many years. I wish I could wave my magic wand and fix them overnight, but that is not possible. It takes some time to fix those issues. So I have complete confidence in what we're doing, how we're doing it, but supporters are rightly impatient, so I have to weather that storm. I mean, you can say that you're fixing it and you're doing this and you're doing that and, you know the problems and you know the way to get out of this mess, but I mean, why should we believe these guys? What is it about these guys that makes us, why should we believe them? There's no reason to believe these guys at all.
Look, the reality is he can say what he wants, but the decisions he has made have been horrendous from a footballing point of view. It's got nothing to do with these things take time. I don't disagree. These things do probably take a bit of time to fix and to get right and to get the experts in and to reap the benefits. But you've got to start seeing little bits of progression, and the decisions he's made with Frank, with the transfer market, with Igor Tudor, all these decisions have been massively, massively detrimental to this football club and to the footballing side of this football club. So for him to sit here and suggest, it's just because these things take time. So, but you went through a whole 30-point process to hire Thomas Frank, and you brought him into this football club, and he was an absolute disaster. So was that just because that needed more time then? Like, your decisions was because it was a bad decision. It's not because that decision needed more time or his decisions need more time. It was a bad decision he made because he doesn't have the quality to understand what a good decision would be in that scenario, because he went in a completely awful direction. He then got Igor Tudor, which was another horrendous decision. He then was probably part of the process that led to one signing in January when we were in the midst of a massive injury crisis. Another horrendous decision. Is that all just is all those bad decisions just because all these things need time to settle in? Is that why? I don't buy that.
I don't buy it either. It's ridiculous. So basically what he's telling us is that, don't expect anything anytime soon.
So we can just forgive all the bad decisions he makes because, all these things take time. Is that what he expects from us?
Don't expect anything anytime soon, people.
I'm going to continue to make awful decisions because in time, I will start making good ones.
Yeah. He's talking on De Zerbi, and he says it's hard to underestimate the scale of the challenge De Zerbi has walked into. It's hard to describe what a significant impact he's had in the dressing room with all the players. I think he's an excellent coach, and we think he plays a style of football that our supporters and the broader public want to see. So now you're interested in what the football of Tottenham fans, what the kind of football they want to see.
Interesting, he says the broader public.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why that should matter. But
Doesn't
anyway, that's something he mentions. He says the Tottenham
I think
and
as
the
well
broader
as
public.
like when Pochettino was playing, when we were in prime Poch ball, like we were a team that people loved watching, not just Spurs fans. I think everyone just loved watching Spurs at that moment in time. I think that's kind of what he's alluding to.
I understand that, but it's not. I mean, you don't sign some. You shouldn't go into your thinking because it's what the broader public want to see. I just don't know why he mentioned that. It's what Tottenham fans want to see. That should be his full focus. But anyway, I think he's right back to Zerbi, and I hope that they just do what right by him and they back him and they get him the tools that he needs.
And then he goes on to talk about the squad, and he said the squad needs work, and the squad hasn't got the right balance. We need experience and leadership, and also the kind of physical robustness to play in the most demanding league that exists. We need to strengthen the club over multiple transfer windows, but this transfer window in particular is going to be critical. Talk is cheap. So they say talk is cheap. We'll believe it when we see it. We heard similar things from the Lewis family today, which we'll get onto a bit later. So it just seems like the party line right now. This transfer window is the one, people.
We hear it every year. When do we not hear it? This one's a big one. This one, war chest. This.
And by the way, he's talking about the squad not having the right balance. I swear, Johan Lang at the end of the summer window being like, "Oh, I think we've got a really good balance here now."
Yep. They don't know what they're talking about. I mean, he's right. I mean, he's absolutely spot on, but it doesn't take a genius to say that. We all know it. They're the ones who've been denying it all season. All of a sudden, like admitting, "Oh yeah, it's the wrong balance," and all this kind of stuff. I mean, again, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah. And then he said Thomas Frank wasn't dealt the easiest set of cards. I mean, I would say that the cards he was set was given by you. So, yeah, he wasn't. 100% he wasn't dealt the easiest set of cards. But he didn't do himself any favours either in conjunction with that. So the ownership give the cards to the chairman. You are the CEO of the football club. You give him the cards. You give him the tools. So enough of this crap.
I mean, he's right. He wasn't given the easiest set of cards, but also he wasn't the best poker player. He didn't know how to play his hand, and he was awful playing his hand. So Tottenham, we weren't given a great set of cards when we hired Frank. That was part of the problem. But 100%, Frank wasn't dealt a great hand especially compared to a lot of the clubs he's competing with, and you're expected to compete with. I mean, he goes on to say a bit more about Frank. I don't know if you have it.
No, I don't. What's he said?
He says. It was because he was obviously all the criticism about them waiting too long to get Frank. He says there's been plenty of coverage that the club was passive during that period, in terms of the period between January and February, whether we were to decide when to sack Frank. And he said there was a lot of coverage that the club were passive during that period, and that absolutely was not true. He said, kind of defending his position. Vegetation confirmed to BBC they tried to entice De Zerbi, who was leaving Marseille, to become the club's full-time head coach after Frank was dismissed. He said, obviously, we were disappointed when it became clear that we wouldn't be appointing Roberto on a permanent basis in February. We were then in the interim market, which is generally not the broadest. There were a number of reasons why Igor was selected. He had the managed in very high-profile, high-pressure environments. We didn't want somebody that was going to wilt under the pressure. He has a history of making immediate impacts. He has managed big clubs. He has quite a different personality to Thomas, and we felt like something different was needed. But of course, we were really aware of no Premier League experience and the risk that it was. Absolutely, it didn't work out. I think it's very clear it didn't work out, and I don't think that is a question. I don't think anybody would argue about anything else.
To be fair, what he's saying there is what we were saying when we did hire Igor Tudor. He goes into clubs, he makes an instant impact, and he saves them.
Yeah, that was that was his record in Italy. To be fair, I understood the logic, but the reality is, when it comes to the De Zerbi thing, I think the reality is they thought about De Zerbi a few times and they didn't go for him. So there was clearly, for some reason, doubt on De Zerbi, for whatever reason previously, about whether to actually hire him full time, because they've always gone in another direction. So when the time came when Frank was sacked and De Zerbi was just happened to be available, I don't think he was sacked because De Zerbi became available. He just happened to be. Were they going full force for De Zerbi in those talks?
I mean,
Did they offer him a 5-year deal?
He was out of a job when Eagle. Oh, you're talking about when Frank was sacked.
I'm saying when Frank was sacked. They're saying, oh, we missed out on him. We tried to get him, but we missed out on him. So they're implying, oh, we tried our best. But did they offer him the 5-year deal? Did they offer him the third highest paid manager? All these things. My gut feeling says they didn't, because we know that they weren't really sure about him before then. And at that point as well, they maybe weren't as desperate and thinking we'd still probably get out of it and we could just probably ride out to the end of the season and maybe get Pochettino. I think that was broadly the thinking. I think if they had truly realised how much trouble we were in, I think we could have got De Zerbi even then. I think if we offered him what we offered him in April, or whenever we got him, end of March, April, I think there's a good chance we could have got him if we offered that deal.
It's hard to know, isn't it? It's hard to know.
That's my gut. I don't think we offered him the deal that we offered him now.
It's hard to know, because he literally, I think he left Marseille, day before Frank got sacked or something.
Yeah.
Crazy like that. Okay,
but we've seen it before where, you put an assistant in charge for a game or two and then you got the guy lined up. You could have done that. You could have. It doesn't have to come in the next day. You could come in a week or so. But we obviously
how many games was Tudor even in charge for?
Games?
6 games.
He came in 6 weeks. Two Champions League games and 5 league games, I think it was. So 7 games altogether. So he ended up coming 6 weeks later, I think it was. And obviously at that point we were very desperate and on the brink. So I just get the gut feeling that they weren't as desperate to get De Zerbi in the first time.
But I mean, we all got the thinking of Igor Tudor at the time, though. That's the thing. So
I didn't.
Yeah, you did. You said it was going to be a good appointment.
No, I said if it was up to me, I'd go all out for De Zerbi.
Yeah, but when we got him in, you said it was a decent appointment.
I mean, I was trying to rationalise it. We said we didn't know. We said we can understand the logic, but we have no idea if how this is going to turn out, because
but we were looking at his history and we were looking at what he's done at previous clubs, and he's always made an instant impact.
Yeah, he has in Italy. Yeah, he has. I think there was logic to it. I'm not saying there was completely no logic to the appointment in the circumstance. I'm just saying, at the time I said, if it's up to me, I wouldn't go for an interim. I think we need someone the players can really buy into right now, and I would just chuck the book at De Zerbi. And I don't know if they did. Maybe he did. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think they did chuck the book at him.
Yeah.
No. I agree with you.
You know what I mean? So if they did offer him the 5-year deal and the massive payback, and he still said no at that point, fair enough. But I don't think they did. That's my gut feeling.
Look, I think they were just thinking we'll ride the season out and we'll get him or Pochettino at the end of the season. That's it.
Exactly. I think
that's what they were thinking.
I think they did contact De Zerbi, and I don't think he's lying. I just don't think they offered him the deal that they offered him when they became really desperate.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is the VNI interview today. Whole big 50-long minute interview. You can see the article from Sammy Mockbell on the BBC if you want to look into it further. But yeah, I mean, I don't believe a word of any of these guys say anymore. It's hard to really look at anything positive. Like, some of the things he said is good, and you're thinking, all right, cool. But if you weren't burnt so many times by what the higher ups at this club say, you might look at it in a different light. But yeah,
at the end of the day, I'll say what I said when we heard the Lewis family. Well, we'll talk about the Lewis family in a minute. But what I said when the Lewis family first came to Tottenham, they're just saying what we want to hear. That's what they're saying at the moment. Now the season's over, season ticket renewals are up, and all this kind of stuff, and they're trying to get fans back on side. All they're doing is saying what Tottenham fans want to hear right now, which is all these things are going to change. It's going to be a new summer, blah blah blah. It's nothing that we haven't heard before. I'm not saying it won't be different this time. All I'm saying is I don't believe it will.
Yeah. And let's move on to the Lewis family now, because they have put a statement on the club website today, and they say, it's a pretty short statement, to be fair. It says, to the fans, As owners of 25 years, we have lived the highs and the lows of Spurs with you. Finishing 17th this and last season does not reflect the stature or potential of this football club. We are bitterly disappointed and share your frustration. You and we expect more than this. We know this must never happen again. Our approach to running the football club is, and has been, to trust the experts to do that while backing them to be successful. The problems we found were deeper than we realised and we're allowed to build over the last few years. We know that has eroded trust and we have to win that back. As owners, we take ultimate responsibility for the situation in which the club finds itself. We also take responsibility for rebuilding Spurs. Our ambition is to recapture the spirit of the club that bring back the excitement, the fearlessness and the bold football we have always felt defined us. That means football comes first. The board and the executive team have laid out their plans to meet this ambition. This will require investment in our teams, the academy, our backroom functions, and more. We are fully committed to this. We are not selling the club. We are all in. We are investing in it. You will see more in the coming months. We deeply care about Spurs. The rebuild the club needs and you deserve has begun. The change required is deep. It will take time and the commitment, but change is happening. We know that actions speak louder than words, the Lewis family.
And the only line I appreciate in that whole statement is that last one.
Yeah.
We know actions speak louder than words. I appreciate they said that because, you know what? When we've heard all these other statements from previous board members and leaving whatever, they always go on these diatribes like the Lewis family are doing and saying this is going to happen, this needs to change, blah blah blah. But I don't remember ever hearing a board member saying admitting actions do speak louder than words, and they have to take action. They've always said this is what we're going to do, and then where is it? And so they're saying it. They are putting it out there, so we're going to have to hold them to that. Actions do speak louder than words.
Yeah,
That's the main thing.
You just wait till September the 1st, and they'll have another statement saying, "Sorry guys, we tried," like every other time. You know what I mean? It's just a bunch of nonsense, really. I think again, similar to what you said about ENIC, all they're doing is saying what the fans want to hear.
Yeah.
This statement, every line of it is what the fans want to hear.
Yeah, it's been curated by a load of PR people who trying to understand how Tottenham fans are feeling and thinking and why they're angry and frustrated, and just giving us a statement as to what we want to hear. We want to hear there's going to be change. We want to hear there's going to be investment. We want to hear that football's coming first. Right, that's what all the top fans are saying. It's what fans like me and you have been saying. It's what a lot of fans online have been saying. It's what fans in the stadium are saying. So they're saying it, but whether it either comes true or whether they're even good enough to make it come true, all of that, I mean, it's hard to believe that they will be the people.
It's the same PR jargon every single year, and until we see it in front of our very eyes, until we see it, they're out there on the pitch, no one is going to believe it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, you can say all the stuff that you want, all the statements that you want, all the words that we want to hear that you want, but until we see it, no one is going to believe it, because it's a classic case of the boy who cried wolf. You know what I mean? It's just time and time again, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, we'll do that. 2 17th place finishes later, they're still saying the same shit. So we'll see. We'll see this summer, but I don't believe it. The reality is, though, they ain't going anywhere. That's what it seems like.
They're pretty adamant. Charrington, the Lewis family, pretty adamant. They're not selling their all in. I mean, strong words, whether they're lying through their teeth or not, whether if they get an offer they will sell, or whether they are committed to Tottenham.
To be fair, though, if you do want to sell and you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, surely the kind of thing should be, no, we're not selling.
Yeah. And they might not be lying. They might be right now, they're not selling because there's no good offers and they've got it's not for sale in that sense. But there's always a price, isn't there? There's always a price. If that price gets hit, they will sell. I'm sure of it. And regardless of what they all say, like, it doesn't, like, who are they for me to suggest that even if their intentions were genuine, Do they even have the competence? That is what I'm saying. Like, they could be genuine, but whether they're even whether they even have the competence to instill what they're saying they can, I don't even believe in that. So first of all, I don't know how genuine they are, and even if they were genuine, I don't know if they're competent enough. So take that as you will.
Yeah. Look, we'll see it. They say you will see it in the coming months. So
could be a big few months.
Or it couldn't.
Imagine we just see nothing in the next few months.
It'll be a big coming months regardless, because if nothing happens in these coming months, then we know exactly where their intentions lie. If we see a massive change in the way things are structured and work, then maybe there could be room for a bit of redemption here. But I'm not holding my breath, guys. Not holding my breath whatsoever. So they can say all these statements that they want. Probably not even worth saying anything. They should probably just get on with their job. And if they really do have these intentions, then go and blood do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. They say actions speak louder than words, and while also making 100 different statements, just more words. So let's please put some action into place. The higher ENIC. I think we're all desperate. We're all sick of these words. But I mean, I don't think it's a conspiracy to think that this is on the cusp of season ticket renewals, and they're trying to drive up. There's probably been a downturn in renewals, and they're trying to drive up more interest. They're trying to drive up more excitement. They're trying to give off this pretense everything's going to change. It's going to be a new Tottenham next season. Blah blah blah. And maybe it'll be true, but I think they're trying to push it. There's a reason why this statement is being made just before season ticket renewal. Put it that way.
Exactly. How long to go till season ticket renewals? It's the deadline is.
Was it 10 days?
Yeah, 10, 11 days away, 7th of June. So it'll be a week on Sunday, the deadline is. So...
They didn't make the statement after the renewal, did they?
If they actually had, they actually should have made this statement after the season ticket renewal deadline. And if they actually are genuine. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see, won't we? I think everyone knows what's going to happen. Everyone knows what's going to happen. But... as always, the proof is in the pudding, positive and negative. So, not holding my breath, guys. And this Lewis family, Vinay, Lange. It was so easy for them. As soon as the final whistle goes, sack Johan Lang. You know what I mean? A few easy wins here and there. But they haven't done that yet.
Should have lashed him on the centre circle. Shout shame on the lap of honour. Shame. Yeah, that would have got the fans on side. But, yeah. Look, we'll see what happens. It's another summer of just kind of knowing that we're probably going to end it unhappy, but just hoping it will be different. What can we do? This is what fandom's all about.
Exactly. We live in hope, people. We live in hope of change. We live in hope of a better Tottenham. And nothing will stop that hope, but it does dwindle every year, to be honest. All right. Well, that's that. Now we could get into someone we actually believe in, and that does give us a bit of hope. And Roberto De Zerbi, yeah, exactly. Roberto De Zerbi has done an interview with Ben Haynes, I think it is. Is it with Ben Haynes? Yeah, with Ben Haynes on the Spurs YouTube channel, 12-minute long. So we're going to get into that, and then we shall react to what needs reacting to. So let's get into it.
You've been here 56 days now. Does this feel like day one?
We closed one page and we opened another page today because we have no time. We have to organize the next season. We have to build a stronger team. But I'm very happy and very proud of what every one of us we did was incredible, I think, but it's finished. Now we have to move on and to prepare the future of our club.
That is like the perfect answer, isn't it? That's exactly what you want to hear from him in this position, because we knew we were in the shit, but we don't want him to like think we've achieved anything. We want him to. Okay, stayed up, but that's done with now.
Well, he said that. He said that right at the final whistle, didn't he?
Yeah, but I want to hear it again.
Right, enjoy this for a day. Tomorrow, that's it. We focus on next season. There's no point thinking about, like, we should never be celebrating safety from the Premier League. You know, we always, if that happens, it's a disaster. Hopefully, you know, it will never happen again. But we need to focus right what went wrong and move forward and focus on next season and make it better.
Yeah, but it's all about. But I also hope, because he's saying now that's one book closed where we nearly got disaster, and now another big opening. And I hope, you know, I just hope he doesn't treat next season like Frank did. You know, every defeat. I remember we finished 17th last season. I remember this, remember that. Like, I hope that's because that was still following the same book. You know what I mean?
He won't do that.
He needs to close that book and start afresh and act like we can achieve what we want to next season.
Judging by the way he spoke about his players in these final 7 games of the season, he won't do that. He'll show them YouTube videos and make them say, well, look how good you guys used to be. Let's get back to that.
Exactly. And yeah, building a stronger team, obviously, that's what we all want. That's what
The thing is with Thomas Frank, he always built everything down. He built the club down. He built the players down. He has been raising them on a pedestal, raising them on a platform and making them better.
Yeah, it's true.
What have you learned about this club in the short time you've been here?
It's a shit show.
I feel a great connection with this club. Maybe because I came in a very tough moment. We went through a difficult period, and I think we became stronger. No. I think we can keep in our mind, our head, what was the last season, the situation last season, and to become better for sure. Become better as a coach, as a players, as a club, and we can't make the same mistakes. Otherwise. We can't improve, we can't become better.
The connection with the fans has been very quick. Obviously, him saving us has obviously got that. Do you think he could? He's already a bit of a hero, obviously, at Tottenham. Do you think like that connection? How deep do you think it could go like, in the future? Do you think he could be as loved one day as like Poch or like? Yol or someone or Redknapp?
Of course he can. 100%. I think already, I don't think you'll find a Spurs fan that has a bad word to say about Roberto De Zerbi. I really don't. I think, you know, Spurs fans have really taken to him really early on. So I think if he carries on this trajectory, then he can be on that level for sure. I genuinely believe that.
I wonder, though, how it will be next season if, you know, let's say we lose a few games and you know he's getting frustrated, he's spitting his dummy out the pram, like a bit like Conte used to do sometimes, and that became quite divisive. You know, some fans would be like, oh, he's just telling the truth, he's saying it as it is, I love it, and then some fans would be like, you know, he's just engineering his exit, he doesn't want to be here, he's constantly, you know, causing problems with the club. Like, do you see De Zerbi? What would happen? What do you see De Zerbi doing that next season? Because this season has all been about just getting survival, and he's been quite maybe a different character to what we expect this season, isn't he? He's been quite very friendly. He's been very uplifting, and now maybe he'll still be that next season. But obviously, he's got a history, doesn't he, of blowing up in certain situations, or you know, being very critical. We've seen those clips of him in training. Sometimes the Marseille players being really critical. We've seen interviews where. You know, if fans haven't been happy with certain games, he says maybe I shouldn't be here. You know, if they're not happy with me, all this kind of stuff. So, like, if that happens, do you think fans will stick by him, or do you think it'll become a bit divisive?
Well, first of all, the first question you asked, do I think it will happen next year? And I think the only way that happens is if the board don't give him what he needs. He's already come out and said there's only 10, 11, 12 players that he can trust in this squad right now. So that suggests to me that there's a large section of this squad which, you know, he doesn't trust and doesn't believe in at this moment in time. Not to say that that can't change. So he's already said he's going to be strong with this board and he needs to get what he wants. I think if he doesn't get what he wants and what he needs, then yeah, I do think that can happen. But I think the board has lost so much support from the fan base, even the people that were ENIC in, you know, I think that's dwindling day by day. So I actually think more people, as opposed to Conte, I think some people sided with Conte, obviously, but I think more people will side with De Zerbi over this than the board.
I think what would probably keep De Zerbi more in favour with fans compared to Conte is that the football under Conte was just so bad. Well, at times anyway, it just wasn't good. And when not only was football bad, and then he's getting divisive, and so it turned off a lot of fans. So at least with Conte, with De Zerbi, if the football is still kind of, you know, going the right direction, or it's football still what we want to see, then I think even if he does become a bit divisive, he'll have a lot more fans on board, because he's still playing that style of football that you can get behind. Whereas Conte, kind of when it turned, it's like a lot of fans just turned because they just sick of the football anyway. You know what I mean? So I wonder. So I think it probably wouldn't be as bad under De Zerbi if that was to happen.
It's maybe been 24 hours since the scenes yesterday. Did you feel the love from the fans at the end when you have that moment on the pitch and they're all singing? Did you feel that connection?
By the beginning, I felt the connection with the players, with the club, but also with the fans. No, they need passionate people, and they need maybe people who believe to stay up. And I believe in to stay up at the beginning in my time. I was surprised about the negative thoughts in that period, no, because I was focused on the qualities of the players, and at the end, if you work well, if you believe in yourself, if you try to put the players in the right condition to play, I think the results are normally to achieve, no?
Yeah, you definitely.
Yeah, I mean, at one point he seemed to be like the lone voice at the whole club. He seemed to be like only positive about us staying up. But I think what he says there, you know, you put these players, some of these players, in the right condition, and you continually positive. The results we got. I mean, it sounds great now, 11 points out of 7 games, but it's not like we didn't go on some like unbelievable crazy run. We just got obviously enough points to stay up. But even that kind of form seems so far away when he first came, didn't it? And I think he
one win seems so far away.
Huh?
One win seems so far away.
That's what I'm saying. So like, what he's saying is absolutely right. Like, these sets of players to stay up in this scenario shouldn't have been such a big deal. Shouldn't have been such a miracle that it turned out to be. And you know, that was kind of his mentality. Whereas, you know, Igor Tudor was giving out different messages. Frank was giving out a different message about the sets of players he's got and how difficult it is and all that kind of stuff. And maybe the players themselves started to believe what they were saying in terms of, wow, we're never going to get out of this. It's, you know, we're doomed and all this kind of stuff. And he just came and looked at the players and said, mate, you're well good enough to get 11 points. That's not really, it's not that difficult with the set of players we've got to get that amount of points.
He didn't even say that. He said we're good enough to get 5 wins in a row. You know,
yeah.
he was talking about, you know, it's the same thing as what I said before. His man management style, first and foremost, was sensational. The stories that we're hearing about him taking the players in one-on-one meetings, regular one-on-one meetings, showing them YouTube videos of how good they used to be, you know, the likes of Gallagher, the likes of Mawani and all the players that were underperforming. Yeah, fine, it worked with some, didn't work with others. But he elevated these players. He elevated them to a level which they hadn't been in all season. So you can only give him the top credit. And yeah, look, on the face of it, it shouldn't have been that hard. But when the rut sets in, as hard as it's set in with us, then, you know, confidence, they say confidence is the most important thing in football. And our confidence was rock bottom. And he had to find a way to raise the confidence levels of this team. And he found it.
Mm-hmm. But he's probably, obviously we were in such a panic and we were, you know, on the brink of disaster. And he's come in and everyone's talking about, we just got to survive, we just got to do this, you know, we're on the brink here, you know, we're really struggling. And he's like just come in and looked at the situation thinking, we're going to get enough points, what's everyone panicking about? That was kind of his mentality. And it was absolutely spot on.
Yeah, definitely felt that belief start to come through, and you certainly saw it with the players. But I wondered if there were any moments along the way that stood out for you in the 7 games as the most important moments?
I think, sincerely, the dinner the day of the dinner together, no, because you build a relationship in the training ground, on the pitch. After the training ground, the pitch, the football, there is a people, there is a man, there is a relationship with the players, and maybe in that situation they knew better myself. I knew better them, and I think it was an important day. But to achieve the target is day by day, you know. Is day by day. You can't lose energy. You can't lose. You can't lose training, and the reaction we showed after the defeat in Sunderland or in Chelsea is the same. But I think the reaction was good.
Was there any...
What do you think was different with Serbi's dinner to Tudor's dinner?
Well, it's a bit different, like, because we heard like Tudor came in and just started shouting at them and swearing at them and all this kind of stuff. Like, De Zerbi came in and told them how good they are. So if you get taken out by dinner after someone's just shouting and screaming in your face, you know what I mean? It's different if you got taken out to dinner with someone that's actually trying to raise your level and telling you how good you are.
And it's a good point he makes about the reaction the squad had to those defeats, because on both occasions, I think the Sunderland one, we lost, and then we could have, can't remember what happened, we could have gone 4 points behind West Ham, I think, if they played Palace a bit later and they didn't win. But, you know, the reaction was we had a good performance against Brighton, and then we didn't lose till the Chelsea game. Chelsea as well, you know, that game left the relegation door open, but the reaction was to go and win that game. And in fact, in the 7 games under Zerbi, we didn't have any back-to-back losses, did we? Which obviously during the season we had plenty of back-to-back losses. So, you know, that's actually a good point. Like, the reaction to those defeats was a lot better than obviously previously.
Yeah, but I think another way you got to look at it as well is that in the games that we lost under Igor Tudor and even Frank towards the latter stages, the players are just playing that game being like, if we play this game with these tactics, 5 times out of 5, we're losing 5 times out of 5. They couldn't see or envisage probably a way how they play those tactics and how they go and win a game. With De Zerbi, you look at that Sunderland game, the first game under De Zerbi, it was a very tight game. We went to a very hard pitch, you know, Sunderland amazing home form all season, and we narrowly lost by an unlucky goal. And already you could start to see the nucleus of that De Zerbi team. The passing was already a lot better. You know, maybe we didn't create as many chances as maybe we'd want to, but you could see we're a much more solid outfit as well. So there's that aspect as well.
So yeah, it's true. There were a lot better performances.
Was there anything on the pitch, or was there a game that you felt was definitive, deciding for us?
But again, Brighton, we played a great game. We deserve to win, absolutely. And the other game, the other crucial game was Villa Park, because we played well. We won against one great team, and they saw the right spirit, the right passion, the right attitude, and also the confidence of the player was different, completely different than 3 weeks before in Sunderland, for example. At the end of that game, I saw the players on floor crying. What is this situation? I said, no.
Sammy, we can't hear anymore.
Great memory about these 7 games.
Do you feel we'll be stronger next season?
Oh, it's back.
But for sure, For sure, I love smart people, and the smart people.
Well, he said the defining moments were those Brighton and Villa games. So obviously, those were our two best performances, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
Bright-
Everton maybe. Everton was pretty good.
Brighton was our first real good display. And that was his second game,
Yeah.
first home game. I think, yeah, I agree with him. Obviously, we didn't get over the line. We didn't win that game. I think the real defining moment was that Aston Villa game, though. The Aston Villa game, to go to a ground like that, yeah, fine, we can say what we want about the way Villa applied themselves that game, but we still had to go to that stadium and win the game when we hadn't won in so long.
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? Like, Brighton was the first time we've actually had a good performance in however long. So there was, like, all of a sudden a bit of belief. Even though I remember at the end of that game, it was a weird one because we did a good performance and we should have won, but we didn't. And obviously West Ham, I think, went on to win. I don't know, I can't remember. But it was a weird feeling at the end of that game because we had got belief that maybe we could stay out because we had a good performance, but because we didn't win and we could see the last minute, it was like maybe it was all for nothing. Maybe we left it too late. But that was one period game you're like, okay, maybe he can actually get us playing.
I think I remember feeling quite positive after that game, even though we conceded that last-minute goal. Just the way we played gave me a bit of hope that, you know, there's still more life left in this team. But actually, if you really want to think about it, I think the real catalyst was that Wolves game, because if we didn't win that game, we were in a really bad situation if we didn't win. And that goal, 10 minutes to go, get our first win in, 4 or 5 months, whatever it was, that was the catalyst, I think.
I think for me, that Wolves game, even after that Wolves game, because we lost Xavi, we lost Solanke.
Yeah, 100%.
And we didn't play well, and we did win.
But we got the 3
didn't play well.
points.
We got what we won. Obviously, it was big. We had to win that game because Everton, I think, West Ham got a last-minute winner, didn't they, against Everton? So that we would have been 4 points behind. I think obviously we wouldn't have stayed up. But I remember after that game, I was still thinking, God, how we just lost.
But that was
to
mainly
2
because of the
players.
injuries.
Yeah. And also the performance wasn't good. So you're like, if we can keep playing like that and with worse players, how are we going to stay up? Then that Villa game,
You got
I
to
was
remember,
like,
though, what we were all saying before that Wolves game.
if we don't win that, we're down, yeah.
Not even if we don't win that, we're down. Well, that definitely we were saying. But we're also saying, because of the bad form that we're in and how bad we've been, any win, we just need to get any win. It doesn't matter how it comes. A gritty performance, a 1-0 win off someone's backside, just to give this team a bit of confidence. And I think that's what it did.
It's true. And then that Villa game, especially considering we just got even more injuries and we put in a performance like that and won, that really gave everyone belief, like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. I
love smart people, and the smart people learn from the mistakes. If this season was like this, it's because we made many mistakes, and sincerely, from the mistakes you have to find the reason to improve, to work harder, and to understand the mistakes. Otherwise, you can't compete.
You said at the
He likes smart people because smart people learn from their mistakes. I think that's quite clear what he's saying to like the higher ups there, isn't he? This season,
He
made
said
many
stupid
mistakes.
people forget about what happened,
Exactly.
forgets about the past. Smart people rectify the past.
Pretty sure he's calling on the board to be smart.
Has to. They have to. Because, you know, we can have a good manager all we want. We've had good managers in the past that haven't done well. It's all about the tools that they're given, the structure around them, everything going into it. You know, everyone needs to be singing off the same hymn sheet.
Yeah, and we can't allow what happened this season to happen again. So I think he's been quite strong there, and let's just hope they heed what he's saying.
beginning, you had to limit your messaging in terms of the things that players would take on board. Are you excited to share your philosophy and what you want to bring to this team on the training field with more time?
Yes, but at the end, I think I gave a lot of details and ideas. No, I was not so strong because I thought maybe to go too strong is like lose the energy, no? Because you can win the game with the style, but first of all you need the spirit, the attitude, the behavior, and the next season I'm ready to go stronger.
Next season he's ready to go stronger.
I welcome it. I can't wait till he goes stronger.
What do you think he means by that? Do you think he means, he said he didn't want to go too strong now because that gives a lot of energy. It gives off, you waste a lot of energy kind of worrying about what style of play you're playing, whereas we need to win, we just need the attitude first. But next season he's going to be stronger. So is he saying like he's going to be more intense with the way we play next season?
100%. I think we all know, I said it I think yesterday, all we've seen so far is De Zerbi light. We haven't seen full throttle De Zerbi ball yet. Next season he is going to be hard, he's going to be full throttle, pedal to the metal. We're going to see De Zerbi ball in its purest form. I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, I think that's what he means as well.
Tell me what comes now in terms of recruitment. How soon do you look at what you want player-wise in the summer? And do you feel the club are there to support you in that?
Yeah, listen, we have a great relationship with Johan and Vinay and all board, and I have no doubt. But it's right, because I came for start a new plan, a new project, and the plan was not in Sunderland, was after Everton. After Everton, stay in Premier League, and my target was very clear at the beginning. I gave all my best. I pushed it to arrive on today, and from today we have to start to work. Look, my target when I came was today, to arrive today, after the last game and planning the next Premier League. But I'm sure we have not to change too many players. And it's not right. It's not right, because we are lucky to have a lot of good players, a lot of good guys. But I think we have to complete the squad in the best way, with first level of players, with the right behavior of the players, because now the qualities of the players are important, but more important is the spirit, the mentality of these players. And now the job starts.
I love that, now the job starts. But he said it before, obviously, he keeps saying we don't need to change too many players. I mean, I don't know what, but then he says, he only knows 10, 11 or 12 players that he thinks are good enough and have the right mentality or trust or whatever, which I think is interesting.
Too many players is subjective though, isn't it? It could mean, depends what he means by too many players.
I mean, what is too many for him? I guess because it's not right. We have a lot of good players. But he says first level players, which I'm guessing means first team players in the starting 11.
Yeah.
That's
he
what
means
he means
top quality players, in my opinion.
Top quality players in the starting 11.
And I think when you're talking about not too many players, I guess it's just about how many we can shift out as well, because we can't bring in without shifting out. Our squad's bloated as it is. So we need to see what kind of players we can shift out. It's not, you can't go into a summer and get rid of 15 players and bring in 15 players. It's just not going to happen. So you need to be realistic in the situation. And I think, max, you're probably going to bring in 6 players for the first team. So I think...
For the starting 11?
No, for the squad.
For the squad, yeah.
So I think that's what he's talking about.
Mm. Yeah, so when he says first level players, you just think he means first team players, not necessarily starting 11?
I think he means just good players.
Just good players.
Mm.
So I wonder if because for the starting 11, how many would you think we would need? Maybe a keeper potentially, or if Romero goes a centre back, a centre mid, and then like 3 attackers.
Yeah, in my opinion,
two
I don't even
attackers.
think we need a centre back if Romero goes. I think,
Well, Senesi's coming in.
yeah, I think that's enough. I think midfield needs 1 or 2, and I think the attack is the main area of focus. It has to be this summer.
You'd probably need 2 starting level players and probably another squad attacker.
I mean, for me, I'd love a new number 9. I'd love a new left winger.
I'm saying starting 11, left winger and striker.
Yeah,
Get Kudus on the right,
yeah.
and then you probably want 1 or 2 for the squad.
Yeah, because look, the reality is, in every ideal world, and I think, I can't remember which manager said it, but many managers have said it, and he said it in terms of he wants 2 players in each position. That's what he wants. But those players, it can't be that the level drops too much if one of the players is injured. So they've got to be good players throughout. You know, we can't be carrying any passengers.
Do you have a priority in terms of the work you would like to do with the players?
I want to improve the quality of the play for sure. I want to improve build up, because normally you are focused on the last 30 meters, but you can improve the last 30 meters if you play better in the first 70 meters. No, in build up we have to improve in the ball possession. We have to improve in the control of the game, for sure in the finishing, the last pass, the assistance, and a lot of things. But we have time now for we have time to organize the improvement of the play.
What
Interesting he didn't mention defensively. Obviously, we have improved a lot defensively. Fair play to him. But it's interesting that pretty much his whole focus was, we can't score, we can't shoot, we can't pass.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
That is where we're at. I don't think... Look, I've always said it. I said it all the way through this season. I said it last season as well. We have got very good players in defence. We do. Mickey van de Ven is a very good player. Porro is a very good player. Udogie is a good player. Christian Romero is a very good player. Vuskovic we've got coming through, who's a very good player. If we bring in Senesi, he's a very good player. We've got good players in defence. That's not what needed major surgery. The reason why the defence was failing is not because of the quality of the player, it's because of the structure of the team. That's why the defence was failing. It was clear for everyone to see where we lack real quality is going forward. That is where we lack the quality, and that's what needs the most focus.
Yeah, but it's interesting he's talking about that's what he's going to try and improve in training. The shooting, the finishing. He said everyone focuses on the last 30 metres, but the first 70 metres, that's where you can improve what happens in the last 30 metres, and that's something that Frank, I think, really struggled with, isn't it? Because the last 30 metres was utter dross, just spamming crosses, and that was pretty much it.
I know.
Whereas I think De Zerbi, we've already seen that the way he gets us playing centrally, even in little spurts, like even little times we've seen it this season, that can just open up all different kinds of spaces, and that's so going to be so different, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
will summer look like for you?
I'm looking forward to build the new team. Looking forward to call this player to speak with them and to introduce the new season and to speak with the new players we have to go to bring because we are lucky to stay here and we have to compete in the best way we can.
You mentioned yesterday that it felt like being underwater for 55 days. How does the air feel now?
I think it was the best day in football, and I'm not so young, and because when you win a trophy or when you win a league or when you are very nice moment, but when you stay up is better, is more
Please don't.
more intense as a moment, no?
We felt the
Was Sunday better than Bilbao?
No, not for me. It was more important than Bilbao, I would say that. But I do get what he's saying.
There's a lot more on the line.
Exactly. I think, you know, the relief that you saw on Sunday, I don't think it was celebration. I think it was relief. It was just pure and utter relief. Like I mentioned, like the pressure cooker, just, you know, just going up, and then just a boom, a wave of emotions. Whereas in Bilbao, it was a bit similar because we haven't won a trophy in so long.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, yes, this weekend.
Bilbao was just pure elation, wasn't it?
Yeah. But this weekend was just like, it felt like the club had been saved, you know, from a disastrous moment, which it had.
Yeah. I don't know if he wants to start putting out, though, that day is better than winning a trophy or a league or something like that. He said it is better. I don't know if that's the right message. I would say the joy that you probably get from trophies and leagues and stuff like that, it's just a lot more joyous and happy, and you're probably just so filled with happiness at those moments. Whereas yesterday, it's not about that. It's just more about, I understand there's that intensity of the occasion because there's so much on the line, and that kind of release of relief is powerful, but I wouldn't want to say that's better than the outpouring of joy of winning a trophy.
It's a feeling like you never want to feel again. It's like a near-death experience.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
the energy of the fans, and we felt everyone come together. Now we're all going to be apart for a little while. Do you have a message for the fans for the summer?
No, just to say thanks, because yesterday when we arrived with the bus was an incredible emotion, and if we stay up is also their credit.
All right. Big up De Zerbi, man. And it feels like we've finally got the right manager at the club. That's what it feels like.
I definitely love hearing him talking. He's a much better speaker than these PR merchants who probably ChatGPT their statements and all that kind of stuff. So he's a great talker. I think Spurs, we're lucky to have him at the moment. To be fair, we are very lucky to have got him in at the time we did, and that he was available. And I don't think we even realised at the time how lucky we were. And now we fully know. And I think he's got all the fans' belief. And I love hearing him speak, and I can't wait to hear what he's got to say down the line.
Exactly. And De Zerbi we trust. Let's hope this board don't screw it up for him and us. Just one super chat before we end from Southeast Coy saying his wish list is Savinho, Locatelli, Van Hecke and Osimhen. I mean, I wouldn't mind all those players, to be fair.
Locatelli, Van Hecke.
Especially Osimhen and Locatelli.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Bring them in. But yeah, that is it from us today. Unless any other news breaks, we'll be back on with you. But at this moment in time, that is it. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll see you again very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.